Maybe I should have left the thing. Live stream won't begin soon. Anyway, so I can just click. Okay, so can you hear me? I see the little things are coming up. But they're only going. Ooh, it's only got one. It's not really working actually. It does? Okay. There's a volume. Okay. So it just wants to be, you just want to see that one or two? Okay, and it's okay, good. All right. All right. And so at 9, I go and start my spiel, right? Okay, good morning, everybody. In keeping with tradition and in honor of the late, great David Lynch, the weather report, um, I left the house at 5 a.m. this morning. It was still dark, and I had to wear a down coat until my truck heated up on the drive down. But I've lost my like hard edge New Englander tolerance for the cold. So we'll see. It's probably gonna be perfect today. All right. So the way this works is I leave an announcement on Thursday on the Patreon, and then people in the comments of the announcement write questions, and then I read them in first come, first serve, and I try to get through all of them. Usually it takes an hour. Sometimes it goes over. Sometimes I quit before I'm done. Okay, from Evgeny. I hope you and your family are doing well. Thank you. We are. What is your current media consumption? Podcasts, books, YouTube channels, movies, recent favorite artists? Okay, so I'm making, I think the next like big YouTube video I'm going to publish is about my addiction to podcasts. So I basically listen to podcasts all day long while I'm doing labor. And when I'm writing and editing, I don't listen to podcasts. So what I've been listening to lately, oh my God, I'm going to make enemies just by telling you guys that I'm listening to. But I listen to Joe Rogan. I used to listen to every Joe Rogan, but now it's just if I like the guests or if I'm interested in the guests or curious about the guests. I love Chris Williamson. I love Trigonometry. These are podcasts. I love This Past Weekend with Theo Vaughn. My favorite, the thing that like my crack, is Tim Dillon, and he publishes twice a week. He has one of the biggest Patreons. He does Patreon on like either Fridays or Saturdays, and then he does YouTube on either Fridays or Saturdays. And his most recent one, I think, came out yesterday, and Steve Bannon was on. It was so crazy. And then Tetragrammatron, Rick Rubin. His voice, the ads are so good. The sound of the ads is so good. And I recently found out that the guy who does the ads is Nico's dad, and Nico is on my son's soccer team. And I was like, and I saw this man in I don't want to dox him, but I saw this man on in Shangri-La, the documentary about Rick Rubin, and I was just like, oh my God, I know that guy. And I talk to that guy at soccer practice at soccer every game. So that's about long and short what I'm listening to as far as podcasts. Books, try to read one book at a time. I read No Country for Old Men, which is amazing because it's just a mirror of the movie for a lot of it. And then there's like a little bit more insight into some other stuff. There's just a little bit more like plot with some of the stuff that you're like, whoa, what happened? Blah, blah, blah. But it's the same essence. And I also read and bailed on Oil by Upton Sinclair, which is the book that There Will Be Blood is based on. I'm just those two movies that came out. I think they came out the same year, and I cannot get them out. I can't stop watching them. I can't get them out of my mind. They're both masterpieces. There Will Be Blood and No Country for Old Men. So There Will Be Blood was based on Upton Sinclair's Oil! And I am more impressed that Paul Thomas Anderson was able to mine out of that book the movie than I am impressed by the book itself. It is the story he was able to pull out of that story, and the prescient nature of like looking back at the very beginning of the oil industry in America from now. I'm so impressed. I'm even more impressed by Wes Anderson's abilities and talents and genius than I am now. Okay, but now, okay, so I read I don't know 100 something pages of that. Then I started listening to it on tape to fall asleep, and now it's just it just goes in too many directions. So I've kind of quit. I'm not interested anymore. And now I'm reading. I can't remember his first name. His last name's Webb. He was a senator from Virginia. Book called Born Fighting, about the Scotch Irish, of which like that's most of my DNA. But I don't have any contact with that. I don't really have any contact because I never had a relationship with my biological father. And then I guess my mother's side is probably half Scotch Irish, or 2/3 or 3/4 or something like that. So it's just interesting to see like, oh, this is where your DNA descended from. And there's just like the most gnarly, like stubborn, pig-headed, crazy, wild, violent maniacs. So I'm reading that right now. Movies, I just watched a series that my brother sent me texted me, called Light and Magic. And it's about Industrial Light and Magic, the George Lucas facility that made all the visual effects, that makes the greatest visual effects in the world. I don't know if they still do, but probably. I was so blown away. I was so. And then there's this point where they abandoned the practical effects, and then it just becomes the digital effects, and they try to keep the story going. And I just don't give a shit after that. I like really don't. It's like, oh, it's computers. And then, but these are the all-stars. I mean, these, by the way, my whole livelihood, everything I have George Lucas to thank. He invented the nonlinear digital editing system. He invented that technology. His team invented that technology. But, and there's this one character, I can't remember, it was Paul something, Paul something. He was like the monsters guy. He made all the monsters in Star Wars. He made all the monsters in Empire. He made all them. He was like a monster practical guy, making these incredible puppets and all of this stuff. And when they went digital, it crushed him. It was like, it was over for him. But Lucas made him be in charge of the motion of the animated animals in Jurassic Park. Like, how would these things really move? And then he would do that practically, and then they would digitally build it from his practical animations. He'd actually make the films and stuff. Anyway, and also the movies kind of got shitty after it went digital. I was like, oh, but these movies suck. And those other movies. That's probably just because I was growing up and becoming an adult, and they were always making kid movies. And when you're a kid, Star Wars is cool. But if you're 40 and you're seeing Star Wars for the first time, it's probably really dumb. So I don't know. And they're all masterpieces, and God bless them. And thank you, George Lucas, for inventing all the sound and all the editing systems. And one of the guys on ILM who started working there, right out of, I want to say high school or college, he was like, yeah, we had this software where you could take pictures and manipulate, blah, 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 blah. And he's like, and then it became Photoshop. And this is he invented Photoshop, and then he went back also and worked on I don't know, Cocoon or something. So yeah, that's movies. Recent favorite artists. I don't have any new ones. It's all the same. It's all the comedians. And shop journal, yes, no. Do you keep one? Not really. I mean, I write a list of things I need to buy and things I need to make. That's sort of a shop journal. But it's not a conscious thing. So I just have a kind of a to-do list. And I guess that does become retroactively a shop journal. And if it's crossed out in red, that means I actually executed it. And that was from Maury. Ivan asks, what is the make and model of your electric motorbike? Okay, it's an E-Ride Pro SS. So it's the top of the line E-Ride Pro. But it's cheaper than I think it's cheaper than the Suron of the same, and it's also faster. Okay, let's see. Sabia asks, I've been struggling with procrastination when it comes to making videos, and I think a big part of it is self-doubt, especially about originality. I've realized that my artwork is heavily influenced by you, and sometimes that makes me hesitate. I start thinking, if I'm copying someone else's style and concept, is it still ethical? Is it still original? At what points does your influence become imitation? And how do you break through to find your own voice? Do you ever struggle with this yourself? When you start out, you're only imitating, I think, unless you're a 1 in a million genius who doesn't need to ask anyone any advice ever until you're a multi-millionaire, super influential Steven Spielberg caliber filmmaker, and you've reached the end of something and you want to start working with other people. But I think everyone else starts out imitating. Don't worry about it. I think there's this thing now that's not helpful, but it seems helpful, where people are just publish. I'm going to publish this. I'm going to make a video in 5 seconds and I'm going to publish it. Publish it. No. Don't do that. Don't do that. Just work on the thing. Work on making the thing and work on making it good, and don't publish, because you'll just turn everyone away. So they'll be like, oh, this is crap, because everyone's work for the first, I don't know, 5 years is crap. So that's what I would say. I would say don't publish it, and then it just doesn't matter if it's good. It doesn't matter if you're imitating, but you're going to learn. you're going to learn through imitation, and then you're eventually going to just veer away from it. But, we're all imitating Edison. So don't worry about it. Steven asks, I'd like to know why you never want to go to Mexico City again. How was your time there? I just think it's too confusing and too big and I don't like it. I just don't like it. I'm not a big fan of cities. I know I've lived in Los Angeles and in New York, and that's why I'm not a big fan of cities. Like, to go visit for fun is like, I've already lived in cities. I mean, Paris obviously is fucking incredible, and Tokyo is incredible. Thing about Tokyo is it's not as foreign as you think. It's more like Toronto than it is like Onomichi, like, which is another place in Japan. Like, if you're a city person, you go to Tokyo and you're just like, oh, it's just the characters are different, but they also spell it out in English. And it's just like, oh, I'm in a different suburb, I'm in a different borough of Toronto or something, because it's all this post-war American Western built everything. But the people are incredible and everything works perfectly, and it's very quiet and immaculate, and everyone has great manners, and everyone takes their job with the utmost integrity. So in that respect, it's great. But Mexico City, I just don't care. It's just too big. It's just too big for me. That's fundamentally what it is. Like, I got lost in the peripheral freeway that goes around Mexico City once, and that's when I swore I'm never going back here. And all the signs are destroyed, and all the street. This was 15 years ago or something, 10 years ago. How do you regulate screen time for your son? From Nathan. This is a great question. Okay, this is how. For every little book, he has these booklets. He hates reading. He's inclined for math. He probably is. He's probably dyslexic. He hates reading. It spins him out. He's 6. I don't think he knows the alphabet yet. Oprah was reading at 4. She was like reading like full on books. So the way we do it is there's these little reading books that are like 10 pages long, and whatever, 20 pages long or something. For every one of those he reads, he gets 5 minutes of screen time on the iPad. And he's not allowed to watch YouTube because he just gets he turns into an addict, just a crazy maniac addict. He starts acting like the YouTuber, and he watches annoying YouTubers. He starts acting like them and talking like them. So extreme special occasions, less than maybe once a month, he can watch YouTube. And then for like the last hour of my day between 7 and 8, after I put the baby to bed, he and I will watch an hour of like what I consider a masterpiece. So we're watching Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade right now. What tool do you wish you could get rid of but is just too useful to throw away? The computer. I wish I could get rid of this and throw it away and never use it again. Too useful. Bicycle for the mind. That was from Oscar. Faith asks, what's your biggest life lesson so far? Something you wish someone would have told you when you were 20? You really got to stay focused. Stay focused on one thing. Pick a target. It could be a short-term target, and just get really good at it and exploit all the virtues are true. The virtues will serve your success. All of them, I have them written down. Where are they? I'm getting them. I know exactly where they are. Okay. Cardinal virtues. These are from Plato. Prudence, courage, temperance, which means self-control, and justice. So you get those right. Stay focused. Work hard. Also, and this one I struggle with even to this day, and it's annoying. gotta kind of stay up on technology. You can maybe just pick one thing and stay up on the cutting edge technology of that. Like if you're an editor, stay up to date on all the latest editing, camera technology, welding, any CNC, whatever. I think that's really important. As much as I hate it, and that's just me being lazy because I'm have like trouble learning things. Okay, so those are the two. How has the presence of a life partner affected your creativity, both in output and diversity of ideas? It stabilizes my production, focuses my production and ideas. And then Isabel will have these gigantic ideas, like big strategies that she'll just like blurt out. Like, you should start a Patreon. That was her idea, and others like that. So on a technical level, she's helped a lot with big picture ideas. But yeah, stability. And then there's a negative side stuff. I have less time to do work. I can't just get carried away with projects the way I used to. I'm more tired, but that's probably because I have children and I'm old. Okay. Khalil, and that was from Thatcher. So Khalil asks, what's been your favorite and least favorite thing about having the new studio? Gosh, my favorite thing is the space and the speed. I can do things much more quickly and just readily. I don't have to move anything around. Everything's there. I love that about it. And then the least favorite thing is it's a little lonely here. It's the solitude. Although I do love the solitude, it gets to be a little extreme if I'm not like scheduling meetings and meeting with people. But I also love the solitude. I don't know. There's very little to not like about this space. It's freaking incredible. There's great restaurants around here, and it's just amazing. It's right off the freeway. It's so cool. Okay. How do you deal with ungrateful people, especially in the work environment? If you're talking about a boss, like an ungrateful boss, you have to just roll with it and not take it personally. If you're talking about an employee, God, I don't even know. Ungrateful. I say just fuck them. I mean, if you're ungrateful, you're going to be miserable and they'll just burn out or flame out or quit. That was from Joshua. G Funk asked, hi, Van. I heard you talk about your love of Eastern European cinema, Belatar, Tarkovsky's book, Sculpting in Time, Herzog, as well as The Hearts of Darkness doc, and Kubrick, and was curious if you could recommend a few of your favorite, most influential, most inspiring films. Do you have a list of essential viewing? I don't have a list of essential viewing, but I should make one. I think, okay, here's some essential viewings. You got to see this movie. It's a Pixar movie. It's called Inside Out, and it's got to be the most sophisticated screenplay ever written. It is unbelievably abstract, and it's a children's movie about how your mind works. It's incredible. It's so thorough. It's so well thought out. The plot is great. It's incredible. It's incredible. Inside Out. Then there's another movie called, there's this great movie directed by Michel Gondry called Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. Incredible. Let's see, I wrote some down. Oh, there's a movie called Ratcatcher by Lynn Ramsey. Watch all the Yorgos Lanthimos movies. They're all great. And then the Les Blanc films, like he made Hearts of Darkness, which is about the making of Apocalypse Now. And then Les Blanc did The Burden of Dreams, that would be on my list. Okay. Nathaniel asks, after what you saw with this recent round of wildfires, has your disaster preparedness mindset or GoBags vehicle setups changed at all? Nah, that, like the emergency preparedness stuff we got right. And having the studio like remotely from the House is helpful. I think we kind of did everything right. It has made me like Los Angeles for me is on probation right now, and I want to see how they handle this. So far, they've been just as much garbage as far as the leadership is concerned. Like I feel like people should either be I think what I would say is illegal. I can't say it, but I think people should be jailed for life, given how irresponsible and corrupt they've been, like the leadership here. And I mean, this is like my concern. Like this is the thing in my life that has affected me the most. Is like, there'll be 100 yards of dirt on one of the main arteries that connects the valley to PCH, which is like Topanga Canyon Boulevard, which is my main artery. There'll be 100 yards of dirt on it, and they'll close it for 5 months. And it's like, no, you park a front loader down there and you hire a guy for $60,000 a year or whatever. You have $100 million budget to maintain that road, and it's not that long of a road. And if the thing slides out, you shovel the mud off, and you just let the people drive, and you buy insurance in case you get sued because the thing slides and somebody gets hurt. But, Karen Bass, who's our mayor, extremely incompetent person. I will bet you if something went wrong with her, if she couldn't open the cup holder on her car, she would have to take it to the dealership. She's an extremely incompetent idiot. I remember in this press conference they did at the Palisades Firehouse, and the president was saying, he was focused on, you got to let these people clean up their mess if they choose to. And she was saying the most important thing is safety. No, it is not. No, it is not. The most important thing in this country is freedom. Let us decide what is safe. Because if you're saying the most important thing is safety, then you're in control of what is considered to be safe, not me. So I know that's a tangent about this is a tangent about have I changed my go bags and disaster preparedness? And it's like, yeah, I think I might move to a place that's where the leadership is prepared for disasters and can execute, and it's not extreme. Like Gavin Newsom, I've decided, he's an idiot savant. Like he's extremely stupid, he's a savant, like a genius at keeping his job, but he's extremely stupid at doing his job. Could we get it? Oh, wait. Okay. Could we get a tour? Can we get a detailed tour of the new studio? How does it compare to your last studio? Is having a studio that's not in your backyard difficult? No, it's much easier. It's better. It's awesome. So I shot a little video, not edited, just like one shot of me walking through the studio. It's on my iPad. And here, I'll turn the audio so that you can hear it. And let me just see what this looks like on the live stream, how I have to hold it. Ooh, it's easy to get disoriented. I'll close the blinds. Oh, it didn't work. Oh, you're just going to have to deal with this is harder than it looks. Out of focus. And then, sorry about the mic's going to sound. Okay, so I'm going to push play. Oh, I hate the player on this thing. It automatically plays it back muted. Ugh. This is my book, my library. This is my yearly calendar. I haven't put anything on it yet. These are the code racks when you first walk in. This is where I do the live stream from. God, this iPad lens is really bad and too long. Not wide enough. That stuff. Come in here. This is I can't remember what I called this. This is like my supply station. Like everyday office supply station. I think this is what this is called. There's where the backdrops go. I spent basically 2 hours this morning organizing this into milk crates, organizing all my spare lumber into milk crates. I think I'm just going to call this part the fort, which was the name of my old apartment up in the Upper West Side. And the reason I'm calling it the fort is because I wrote the fort on the Olfa knife for my apartment. That meant that belonged in my apartment, and now it belongs there. So I'm just going to call it there the fort. There's a chemical tray. There's a hot glue gun, and you get the idea. And then this I call my battle station. This is the overhead shooting table. And then the bathroom in here. As soon as this, I did that this week. As soon as this live stream is over, I'm going to reroute that wire. As one of you, I can't remember your name, sorry, suggested I do. I indulged like crazy, maybe 3 days, adding all this new stuff to my treasure wall. So much more time consuming than you would possibly imagine. So there's you recognize that. And then this is a cooler so that when you're shooting with the GoPro, it doesn't overheat. This is just a lot of props from my old movies. I rebought the first camera I ever used, the original one Josh Safdie has. There's my old studio. There's the zip line. And all this stuff can just come off of the shelf easily if I need to use it for movies. And then, yeah, that's it. We're back. All right. Here's a tour of the studio. All right, cover your ears. It's going to be a thud. Oh, there we go. Okay, I hope you can hear me still. Okay, so that was the tour of the studio. Thank you for that suggestion. Tessa asks, you have extensive experience in pitching to clients without the resources of a massive ad firm. What advice do you have on pitching something big? I've never pitched something big. If I've ever had to deal with a client, I'm always on like the very lowest. This is how, I mean, advertising, the money is so crazy. You know, people who are like creative directors at ad agencies, they have like $15 million houses. Like the money is crazy in advertising. So whenever I'm doing something, I'm at the very bottom, you know, and like you've seen the stuff I've made for this channel. And so I cannot advise you on how to pitch something big. I have no idea how to do it. My friend Andy Spade would know how to do it though. Charlie asks, hey Van, I use moleskins for different purposes and always personalize the cover with an embossed illustration and phrase filled with Pentel correctional ink. For example, my bucket list has Memento Mori and the handshake illustration from Vonnegut's Breakfast of Champions. I need some inspiration for a notebook on lessons, skills, learnings, etc. that I randomly come across and or seek out, struggling for ideas, and really appreciate your creativity. So I would just do that symbol that's on lawnmowers, because this is life lessons and stuff. It's a symbol that's on lawnmowers, and it's like a hand with a chunk cut out of it and then blood dripping down. Find the actual one and then just do that one. And then, I don't know, I would call it wisdom or something. John asks, hey Van, in your video about what you would do if you were 18, you discussed starting a Just Shelves business. You said you would create an Instagram page. What kind of content would you produce for your business? Curious about your brainstorming process. Well, I imagine you'd be in all different kinds of houses. So I would just do like maybe before and after pictures, or like maybe see if I would, you know, have the client maybe take a picture after they were loaded. All of the shelves were loaded with stuff, and have them send that to me or something. And then I would post those. I don't really know. I don't really know until I'm in it. Vincent asks, what's up, Van? What's your favorite part of Breakfast of Champions? Do you agree with all of Vonnegut's beliefs, such as determinism, for example? Did you ever sell the large Vonnegut piece that you showed in Narcissus? I never sold the Vonnegut piece. I'm sort of holding on to it. My favorite part of Breakfast of Champions, I don't know. The one that I remember most is him like in his white sunglasses, and he's like in that when that person is there. And then there was a person at the bar smoking cigarettes, wearing white sunglasses that looked like this, and that person was me. I like that part. But it's the only thing I really remember from the book. I'd have to go through it piece by piece, or just look at it, and then I'd remember. I don't really know what his beliefs are, but I believe the one about the breakdown of the extended family is reflected in the breakdown of our like happiness in this country, of our standard of living. I think that's true. Everybody, we got so rich we could go live wherever the hell we wanted, and we just left our family. I did this and just left our families behind, and then it's just so incredibly. Annie's the one who recommended to reroute the wire for the kettle. Okay. I am building a long bar table attached directly to a wall, a piece of 8 foot by 2 foot 3/4 inch plywood board that will be used as the bar top. There are 7 studs available across this area of drywall. The table will be for general use. I would like safe enough to hold at least 150 pounds. How would you mount the bar top to the wall? I will tell you. Let me see if I can. I will shoot this in real time with this thing, this iPad. But you get these, they're called like shelving brackets, and they're like the heaviest duty ones. They cost $8 a piece. And sometimes they're not in the shelving area. You got to kind of like look for them. Or they're like, you're at the shelving area, you're looking at all the shelving stuff, and you have to turn around, and they're like down low. But I can't. Camera. Okay, I'll just do a photo. Hold on. They're these things. These things, and they're like the extra heavy duty ones. Like that bottom, that angle is like a V of steel, and it's confusing when you buy them because the numbers they give is the size of shelf they're recommended for. It's not the actual dimension of the brace. So those ones, they're probably like 8 inches by 10 inches or something like that, but they say like 12 by 15 or something, whatever. And so that's what I use to do everything in this studio basically. And you can get gigantic ones, and you can get those ones. But yeah, Home Depot, that's where I got them. They're like $8 each. And then just, I don't know, sheet metal screws to mount them to the wall. Okay. Okay. Have you seen the Hot Berta kettle, a $650 1989 Philips Stark design? Pouring water out of it was a horror. There are videos online, and manufacturer called it our most beautiful fiasco. God, I hate stuff like that. But no, I haven't seen the video, but I can only imagine. I can very much imagine. Hope all is well. Will you make another video about your friend Chloe? God, I hope so. God, I hope so. She's hard to track down. She's a Rolling Stone. Any future repair station events coming up from Annie? And where? I don't have any planned. I really don't. It's heavy. It's a heavy lift. I would want to do it with 2 other people, I think, or at least 1 other person. No, maybe 2 others. I don't know. I'm getting old, and I'm getting tired of just the details of setting everything up. It just seems easy, and it is relatively easy, but it's really detailed, and I don't want to do it. I'm just lazy. Just watch your coffee station video and wishing the cord behind the kettle ran along the shelf, then to the wall. Breaks up that nice curve of the spout. I was thinking exactly that when I installed it. and made it for the video. So I'm just, that's what I'm doing as soon as this thing is over. Okay. Thank you, Annie. Patrick asks, how do you organize your video creation process? How do you decide what to create and when? Do you plan your videos in advance? Do you have a list of potential ideas, or do you make the videos that pop in your head each week? How do you recommend working to create constant flow of videos? Thanks. Constant flow of videos in the beginning. If you're just starting out, it should, I mean, I kind of feel like it should be an addiction, and I don't need to explain anything to you. Kind of think it should just be you're compelled and you can't stop yourself. And I've been doing it for 25 years now, so I'm a bit like I've squeezed the sponge a lot. So what I do is I have a piece of paper in my back pocket and a pencil always. And if something occurs to me, I write it down. And then I have like Post-its, and I write the title down if I come up with something. And then I stick it to a piece of paper. And then I have like a mailbox thing, like it's like lucite, like clear plastic thing that hangs on the wall that you put papers into. That's 8.5 by whatever, so that it holds the papers perfectly. And I just have a stack of those with ideas for episodes on them. And then if certain ideas come up that contribute to those ideas, I'll pull it out and write it down. But I don't have that mind that's flooded with ideas anymore, because it's just ideas all day long and everything. So I really have to sit down and like distill like what I'm gonna make. And how do you recommend working to create a constant flow of ideas of videos? I mean, get yourself in trouble, and then get yourself in trouble and in a situation that you can only get out of by making videos, and have the alternative be hell. That's how I've kind of, I mean, starting out, that's how it just happened naturally for me. If you were to break up, this is from Joel. If you were to break your life as an adult into 3 to 4 chapters, what are those chapters, and what's the lesson learned from each one? Oh my gosh. The first is like education. Second is like moving to New York. Third is like going pro. And then fourth is parenthood. And what's the lesson learned from each one? I think the overall lesson is don't try to reinvent the wheel. Just do it the way that it's meant to be done. And then you can reinvent you can't reinvent the wheels on the car, but you can reinvent the little tiny wheel that you need to open the glove compartment in your car. Don't reinvent the wheels. Don't like, I have this business kind of situation. No. That shit's all been figured out by the smartest people in the world. Just do what they do. Don't apply your creativity where it don't belong, and then work with experts and professionals. Yeah, hire professionals. That's a big thing. Even if you can't afford it, work something out. Mateo says, considering that you were already making videos when you started working at Sax's studio, what are, in your experience, the most valuable concepts or values he mentored to you through your work there? Thanks. I think like the importance of details and the compromises that you can't make. Like one of the things that Tom imparted on Casey and me, he was like, you got to have your studio in Manhattan. Everybody else was in Brooklyn. Everybody was in Brooklyn. Brooklyn. That's like when, Brooklyn went in a very short time. Williamsburg, Brooklyn went from scrap yards to like the most valuable real estate in, maybe in 4 of the 5 boroughs. And it was like the big hipster scene, and it's where all the scenesters were, and blah, 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 blah. Manhattan was more expensive. You got less space. But the thing is like, because Sachs was like, if I have a collector at my studio and he says, I need someone to make a video, who should I work with? I can just send them to your studio if it's in Manhattan, but they don't want to cross the bridge. So that's one tiny detail. Something, that's a detail. Be in Manhattan, but there's tons of little things like that. There's tons of just little beats like that. You kind of got to charge like double or quadruple what you think is crazy. It's like, well, I could do it for $50. Charge $6,000. I'm not exaggerating. I'm not saying like if it's $1, charge $20 billion. No, if you can do it for $100, charge 10,000. And I remember when I was doing my Patreon, when I was doing my Kickstarter, right? Kickstarter is amazing, and you can build a draft of it that you just keep working on and chipping away at. And I sent Sachs a link to the draft, and he said to me, he was like, double all the prices. And then he said, have a category that's really expensive, like 10 grand, and then have the reward be nothing. And I did it, and it worked. And it happened. So, I mean, I don't know if those numbers I don't know if the 10 grand is exactly right. It might have been 5 grand, but I'm pretty sure it was like 10 grand where it was nothing. And it wasn't him. It wasn't Tom Sachs who gave me the 10 grand. So, just little things like that. But, considering that you're okay, Andrew, as a graphic designer, I'd like to see your take on a business card, yours, of course, and whether you even think them necessary. I guess maybe the art show and bite reel could well be this. Keep up the content. Love it. I can't remember. Oh, I do remember. Hold on. Bear with me. Oh, okay. It's in one of these two books. Which are full of awesome little how to be a professional creative person lessons. Okay, I think it's in whatever you think the opposite, because he has a thing about business cards, and it's all pictures, so I can go through fast. Oh boy, I'm gonna give this 2 minutes max. It's 9:43. I'm gonna go to 9:45. I think I can remember exactly what the picture looks like. Oh gosh, come on. Where is it? This is called Dead Air. Okay. Where is it? Okay. Might not be in there. Let's see. Is it in here? God, I don't think the payoff is very good. The payoff might not be even good enough for this, but I can't help it. Wait. Whoa. Nope, that's not it. How to improve your strike rate. How junior accountant can make a big difference. How you can make your company great. Do not try to win awards. Nope. Get out of advertising. Don't be afraid to work with the best. Suppliers are only as good as rough layouts. Sell the idea better than polished ones. Oh, come on. Where is it? It's a whole thing just about business. Oh, I found it. Yes. Play your cards right. Okay. It's about business cards. So you have. Can I just read this to you? I'm just going to read it to you. The person in the left column is the same person as the one in the right column, but we regard them very differently. The person in the left column is saying what he is. John Ranson, pump attendant. John C. Ranson, petroleum executive. The person in the left column is saying what he is. The person in the right column is more ambitious. It's how he wants others to perceive him. Anthony Taylor, architect. Anthony Taylor, architects. When Charles Saatchi started his ad agency, Saatchi and Saatchi, it was the biggest in the world when I was in the 90s when these books were written. Started his ad agency. It was regarded as a creative boutique. His brief for the company stationery was to make it look like a bank. About 15 years later, they tried to buy a bank. He also invested a third of his capital in a full-page advertisement in the Times. The effect was to make his creative boutique appear to be an established company. Okay, so this is what I took away from this. At the bottom, it says Theodore Smith, chairman and chief executive worldwide. And that's the left. That's the left column that describes what he actually is. And then in the right column, it says Theodore Smith, owner, no card. I'm the owner, no card. All that for that. Anyhow. Business card. Okay. Kunal ready. Hey, I remember you saying that you listen to a lot of podcasts. I usually lose track of ideas when I try to listen, Dane. So can you describe your experience with it? I've been listening to Rick Rubin and it's great. Okay, I'm making a video about this, about like the podcast addiction thing. And I think the conclusion is that it's kind of a good thing and it's not like an unhealthy addiction. Akash asks video on motorcycle rituals and packing tips when going on a motorcycle ride to the mountains. Okay, maybe. GBM asked, he wants me to join his Patreon. I probably will. Brentley asks, are there any plans to collaborate with your brother Casey in the near future? No plans. And I'll just tell you a little anecdote about that. So Jack Conte, who's the founder and probably the biggest shareholder of Patreon, he invented Patreon. He did an interview with me for his Digital Spaghetti channel, and he did an interview with Casey, separate interviews for his Digital Spaghetti channel. I had never watched Casey's. Casey had never watched mine. Okay. And then Conte did a mashup of Conte asking the same question to both of us. Like, how do you consider your audience, or do you consider your audience, right? And Casey had exactly the opposite answer for each question that I have. Like, do you plan your videos? Casey's like, absolutely not. I'm just shooting, blah, blah, blah. I have no idea until the minute I don't know what I'm even going to make until I click public, like craziness. And I'm like, yes, I planned them 40 years in advance. This video I planned when I was 3 years old, and I've been writing down and acquiring tools that, it's just so, yeah, get those two crazy alpha maniac brothers to work together. And also one of them's like a deca millionaire. He just like can overpower you with every resource possible. So no, I don't think we're going to work together intentionally, but we'll see. I don't know. Maybe somebody will put us in a documentary together. So Decom writes, Ceton Kip, was there ever a situation that felt like a failure but then evolved into a success, or looking back, that perceived failure generated huge opportunity? Yeah, I mean, so failure is just school. You go through these things that I call a failure cycle, and it's happening when you're trying to do something new, or you're trying to learn something new, or you're trying to make money or whatever. You just have these failure cycles, and it's part of the process. I was watching, there's this show from like 10 years ago on National Geographic, and it's called Bering Strait Gold or something like that, or Bering Sea Gold, where these guys that I really identify with, they cobble together these really dangerous rigs, like super homemade, super shitty rigs, and they go out and they vacuum the floor of this water of this bay, looking for like gold dust, and they all make money. They all do very well, and they only have 100 days a year to work because it's Alaska. And there's this one team that I just really hate. And the guy's super, super belligerent. He's super mean. He's super angry all the time. And he'll go out and something will break on the boat, and then he'll come back and then he'll yell at everybody else. He never takes ownership of anything. And then he'll just say, this day was totally worthless. This was like, I got nothing out of this day. This is nothing worthless. I really need this money. He's like, no, pal. No. This is your education. You got a lot of knowledge. You got a lot of knowledge on this day. Like, and just as a side note for that particular thing, these guys only work 100 days a year, and yet their rigs are totally unprepared and totally like, and yes, I understand it's 100 degrees below zero, blah, 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 blah. But they almost do no preparation. They're just out there failing and failing on the thing. And that's a lesson in and of itself. Prepare. But no, failure is just your teacher. It's like a very stern teacher, unforgiving. And it's just part of the thing. It's just part of the thing. You listen to everyone, and they like I was listening to an interview with Trent Reznor today on Tetragrammatron, and he was like, he was like, in the beginning, I did all this music, and he was like, I wish I could just erase it, but that was like when some people had video cameras, and that's just part of the thing. So this is the last one. Wow, perfect timing. You've settled into your lifestyle with the Land Cruiser, but you've had trucks and said in your starting over at 18 video that you would get the utility style bed for your hypothetical shelf business. What do you think of vans and minivans for the type of work you do? And are there any vehicles that you think you could have committed to? Are there any other vehicles that you think you could have committed to? Great question. My favorite kind of question. Okay. Remember the question about Tom Sachs? And somebody was like, what are the lessons that Tom Sachs taught you? Okay, one of the things about vans, and my brother and I owned a van once, and we drove it across country on Patreon, the movie we made. And one of the things Tom Sachs told me, and this is absolutely true, he said about vans, girls and women are afraid of vans because they're super creepy and super scary. And so from then on, it was like the van that Casey and I had was just, it wasn't our car. It wasn't, we didn't run it. It was just the van. And then we sold it probably for more than we paid for it. So that's the main reason why no vans. Pickup trucks are sexy. Girls think they're cool. Girls love pickup trucks. Girls, they love that bench seat because they can sit like right next to you, but vans are scary and weird, and people, Gabby Petito, remember her? What were they driving? They weren't in no pickup truck. So, yeah, vans are scary, weird, murder wagons, and pickup trucks. You can see out the back window. You can see there's nothing in there, nothing to hide, blah, blah, blah. And then what I would have committed to, I mean, I had this F350, this 4x4 F350 with the 7.3 liter and the 5-speed transmission. And it had a granny gear. So I think it was a 6-speed transmission, really. That thing was unbelievably cool. But it was just, I really needed the money. And I was living in New York, and I just never used it. It was just a thing I had to pay for parking for and pay all the insurance and all that stuff. But man, every time I see one, I'm like, that is an excellent car. It was like it was a 2002 F350 full-size bed super cab, which is, the crew cab is 4 doors and the super cab is like 3 doors because it's like two 1.5 doors. It's got like a door that you open from the inside. It's like a half door on each side. And yeah, that thing was, you had to put what was it called? I think E-rated tires on it. You couldn't put D-rated tires on it. You had to put E-rated tires on it, or else the thing was too heavy when you loaded it up, and the tires would just be like ready to pop. Something I didn't really know about. When you go heavy, you got to do a whole bunch of stuff. Brakes, transmission's got to be. Anyway, that thing was incredible. But nope, minivans and vans, nope, it's too murdery. Let's see. We got 5 minutes, and let's see if there's see what I got over here in the comments on the YouTube side. Your advice for someone who wants to shoot daily routine moto vlogging to work and back and edit it and upload it for 365 days. It will be helpful artistically. Okay, your advice to someone who wants to shoot daily routine moto vlogging to work and back and edit it and upload it for 365 days. It will be helpful artistically. Pick one, either with to work or back. Don't do both. One. Or do both, but don't do both on the same day. Nah, I would say do one. And I would say, I don't know, you pick. That's one thing. The second thing, if you're doing 365 days, you want to be insanely, okay, crazy short, like 2 minutes long. And you want to be insanely detailed. And then you got to have a plot each day. I don't know. I'm trying to think how I would do it because my commute is fucking beautiful. If I were commuting to work, how could I make that work? 365 days. Oh, I have something. It'd be hard to do it without being self-conscious and without forcing it, but one of the movies I made about my motorcycle ride is I just went on a motorcycle ride and then I kind of all the thoughts that I had while I was riding was what went into the video. So that could be a structure you could do. You could just either you got it, but you got to be really disciplined. You're not going to remember. You're not going to remember. No matter how great of an idea or thought or whatever, you are not going to remember. You got to like speak it into a camera or maybe set up a mic rig or something. I mean, these could all be videos. Like how you address this problem could all be videos. Like if there's a mic with a Bluetooth, which is a nightmare, nothing that you have to push record, blah, blah. I don't know how long your commute is, but, just insights every day, maybe about the ride, maybe about nothing having to do with the ride. Maybe, I don't know, maybe someday your bike is broken and you have to take the car or walk or whatever. My bike broke. I was on my way out to do an interview with Digital Spaghetti. I'm pretty sure that's what it's for. And the front sprocket, the threads on the inside of the front sprocket stripped. And I had to just, thank God it was like right out front and I had to just like push it back. But yeah, that's what I would do. I would do my thoughts. Because I mean, what are you going to do? 365 camera angles? Like, what are you going to, But I don't know what your commute is. Like, I used to think I wanted to do that with my bicycle commute to work every day, but I was working in Manhattan and there would just be like so much incredible things happening. Like, sometimes there'd be cab accidents. Sometimes there was like once, a lot of this stuff I have shot. Like once I was driving south and there was just a convoy of Humvees with army guys with like 50 caliber machine guns in them. It was for a movie. It was for like some post-apocalypse. Once I was riding down Broadway and the set, you can go on to sets. I don't think they can legally close the road to you or something. But I rode onto the set of I Am Legend, like the set that was near. And even that is like, if you're shooting, that's Manhattan. That's Manhattan commuting 6 miles each way, Manhattan. Yeah, I don't know. That's how I would do it. I would concentrate on the structure of how you're going to do it. and then make it extremely easy and simple because it's very hard to do. All right, 10. It's 10. Thank you all very much. Have a great weekend. And we'll have something new for you next week.